Tonight, Canada's aid airdrop over Gaza. The mission by our military dropping thousands of kilograms of aid to Palestinians.
It's our surgical teams and our medical teams who are hungry themselves.
Why people on the ground are calling for even more support. Setting trade talks with the U.S. aside, where Ottawa is now looking to help boost the economy.
We haven't taken advantage of a country that's closer to us than China.
Plus, the revolutionary surgical procedure restoring sight.
He still hasn't seen me, and I had never seen him when we met. We were both blind.
How a tooth helped a BC woman see her partner for the first time.
It's a miracle.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, Heather Butts.
Good evening. People in Gaza received more aid today, dropped by the Canadian Armed Forces. The aircraft flew over the enclave, sending thousands of kilograms of life-saving supplies to those who desperately need it. This, as the Prime Minister says Canada is intensifying efforts to help develop a peace plan and support Palestinians. CTV's Kamal Karamali starts us off.
A rare and brief moment of celebration in Gaza. Food airdropped from above, feeding hope to a starving population. Crates delivered from countries around the world, among them Canada's contribution, nearly 10,000 kilograms of aid dropped over Gaza by the Canadian Armed Forces Monday for the first time using their own aircraft instead of relying on another country.
Well, it's not nearly enough.
5 more Palestinians have died today from a lack of food, says Gaza's health ministry, with doctors feeling helpless.
Our surgical teams and our medical teams who are hungry themselves.
Families of Israeli hostages in Gaza fear starvation will be the death of their loved ones as well, and put the blame on Hamas, who released these videos of 2 emaciated Israelis in their captivity. For hungry Palestinians on the ground, seeking food from Israel's controversial aid group continues to have deadly consequences. More than 40 people killed by Israeli gunfire and airstrikes Monday, according to local medics. As the violence worsens, a new parliamentary report from July highlights the type of weapons sent from Canadian companies to Israel in 2024. More than $18 million worth, including more than $2 million categorized as accessories related to bombs and other explosives, while more than $12 million sent labeled components related to electronic equipment and military spacecraft. The Foreign Affairs Minister's office says they refused any new permits to Israel since January of 2024 and froze existing permits that same year, saying the weapons exported are non-lethal. If an export permit for an item used to protect civilians is requested, it will be approved.
Canada has no way of monitoring or enforcing where these weapons and weapon parts are used.
Now, a coalition of not-for-profit groups is calling on Canada to put a complete stop to the shipments of arms to Israel, while the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs says the claims stemming from the report are false. Heather.
Kamal Karamali reporting from Toronto tonight. Wildfires raging across several provinces have forced more people to flee their homes this weekend, including 2 fires burning along the shores of Conception Bay in eastern Newfoundland. On the west coast, crews in British Columbia are trying to gain the upper hand on the Wesley Ridge fire burning on Vancouver Island. Discovered last week, it grew again today to more than 500 hectares. Later in the show, we'll find out how wildfires are impacting one of Canada's most famed creatures, the polar bear. Harmful air quality remains a major concern across most of Canada because of all of that wildfire smoke. The situation's so bad that Toronto was at one point today ranked in the top 10 most polluted cities in the world, according to air quality technology company IQ Air. Statements or warnings remain in effect for a huge swath of the country. Summer heat also posing health problems for humans and pets, leading to a tragic incident near Toronto where a dog died and another had to be rescued after being left alone in a vehicle. CTV's Janice Golding on what police are saying now about the pet's owner.
Some regard their pets as part of the family.
They're like your children.
Which is why many people who live and work near Simcoe and Winchester and Oshawa are horrified today that 2 dogs were left in a hot car yesterday and one had to be put down due to heat stroke.
Makes me sick to my stomach that an animal has to suffer like that. Unfortunately, people don't think.
Durham Regional Police say it was around 4:40 p.m. yesterday that officers were called about 2 dogs in distress. Animals, investigators say, had been left in a hot vehicle for an extended period of time.
When officers attended the scene, they spoke to witnesses and were eventually led to a veterinarian clinic where we learned that one of the dogs had to be euthanized from the heat stroke.
The owner was arrested and charged with willfully causing unnecessary pain or suffering or injury to an animal. And with the hot weather continuing, police are issuing a reminder to the public.
People think that these dogs are fine. They think, oh, if I put the window a bit, they'll get some air in. But we're finding on these hot days, we don't even really have much of a breeze. So they're not getting the temperature control that they need.
According to experts, dogs have a limited ability to sweat. So even a short period of time in a hot environment can be deadly. In fact, heat stroke fatalities can occur in less than 15 minutes. And even if you're parked in a shady area, your car can reach dangerous temperatures quickly.
I feel terrible. I think that is a horrible thing that happened to the pet, and I think that there should be more education about it.
It makes me very angry. I don't like hearing about dogs being in a car. Like, imagine leaving your kid in the car. It's the same thing, really.
Unfortunately, Mel Clatworthy, who has worked in the pet care industry for about 15 years, says it's all too common.
It's not shocking because we have seen several people leave their dogs in their car, and we do say something about it if we do see it, that it's too hot for their dog. They can bring them in the store.
Police say if you see a dog in a situation like this, you should call 911 immediately because these are emergency situations and there's little time to lose. Janice Golding, CTV News, Toronto.
Top Canadian trade officials are shifting gears for now, focusing on what's happening inside our borders over finding a way to smooth trade relations south of the border. They're also eyeing other partners. CTV's Colton Prale on the upcoming meetings in Mexico City.
The Prime Minister touring the Port of Vancouver this weekend, a key port of entry for international goods, including those from the U.S. But Ottawa's message since the deadline for a trade deal with the United States has come and gone is clear. An agreement with Donald Trump isn't the top priority. In a statement, Canada's U.S. Trade Minister says Ottawa's next step is reinforcing the economy, adding Canada will take the requisite measures with the U.S. at the appropriate time. In the meantime, Ottawa is looking towards its other North American partner.
But when we talk to Mexico, when we talk to their embassies in Canada, they are very eager to reset the relationship.
2 of Canada's top cabinet ministers, Francois-Philippe and Anita Anand, will be in Mexico City this week and are expected to meet with President Claudia Sheinbaum. Sources say the talks will focus on improving trade and bilateral relations over a 2-day visit.
We haven't taken advantage of a country that's closer to us than China.
Mexico has been deemed a priority market by Export Development Canada, and while it's Canada's 3rd largest trading partner, it only accounted for 1% of Canadian exports last year.
It's simply a matter, I think, of recognition and changing a Canadian reluctance to go beyond the U.S. market.
Meanwhile, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business says many of its members are starting to move supply chains and business away from the United States.
Over a third of them are shifting to domestic markets and suppliers, as well a quarter of them are looking at non-U.S. markets in light of these trade challenges with the U.S.
While auto parts and agriculture make up the majority of Canada-Mexico trade, experts say there's plenty of room to grow, especially in critical minerals and AI. Meanwhile, Canadian officials continue to work on a trade deal with Washington, describing recent meetings with American officials as cordial and constructive. Heather.
Colton Prale in Ottawa, thank you. There's an extraordinary political throwdown happening in the U.S. Texas Democrats fled the state in order to block a controversial vote. Now, as CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Melvin reports, the governor is threatening to have them all arrested.
It's a Texas-sized revolt. More than 50 Democrats said they had no choice but to leave their home state to block a vote that would redraw congressional voting districts favoring Republicans before next year's crucial midterm elections.
Governor Abbott is doing this in submission to Donald Trump so that Donald Trump could steal these communities' power and voice.
Donald Trump made no secret of it, calling on Texas Governor Greg Abbott to help beef up the Republicans' razor-thin majority in the House and push through Trump's agenda.
How many more seats do you want the Republicans to draw? 5. Are you calling then for a complete redrawing of the congressional map?
No, just a very simple redrawing. We pick up 5 seats.
But with Democrats out of town, the House was denied a quorum. Texas Governor Greg Abbott threatening to fire the renegade Democrats.
These Democrats have absconded from the responsibility, and I believe they have forfeited their seats in the state legislature because they're not doing the job they were elected to do.
Texas allows the state to redraw voting maps every decade, but it's only been a few years, and Democrats say this fight is more than just lines on a map. It's about democracy.
It's Trump's steal of 5 congressional seats. That's all they care about. And so our goal as Texas Democrats is to stand up, ensure that they don't do this steal.
The House stands adjourned.
Democrats are digging in, even as they face losing their jobs, and now civil arrest warrants have been issued if they don't return to Texas for the vote. Joy Melvin, CTV News, Washington.
A manhunt is underway in Ontario's cottage country. The investigation began when police discovered one man dead outside a burning home near the town of Bracebridge over the weekend.
Once officers arrived, one person was located deceased outside the residence, and the residence was fully engulfed in flames.
The next day, investigators discovered 2 more bodies inside the home. They're now tracking down 29-year-old Mitchell Gray. Ontario Provincial Police, speaking on the case for the first time today, say the suspect and victims were known to one another, but won't say whether they were related. Coming up, a groundbreaking surgery in Canada.
I'm starting to be able to see people's features, facial features.
How doctors were able to restore her vision. As we mentioned earlier, fires ripping across Canada are impacting the country's wildlife, including Manitoba's polar bears. CTV's Alex Carpa finds out how changes to their environment are affecting the animals, including how they age.
At the shores of Hudson Bay sits Wapusk National Park in northeastern Manitoba. It's one of the world's largest known polar bear denning areas, crucial for the survival of newborn cubs.
Looking at where polar bear dens are. And
Stephen Peterson, the Director of Conservation and Research at Winnipeg's Assiniboine Park Conservancy, says a warming climate and a drying subarctic landscape is increasing the fire risk up north, placing polar bears in ever-increasing danger.
if we then start eroding and picking away at that denning habitat that's so important for producing new cubs and keeping those populations sustainable, then polar bears are just kind of getting another whammy that will make them less likely to be in Manitoba in the long term.
He is now hoping to create a map that can help inform wildfire fighting efforts in the future to protect wildlife in the north.
If we want to protect polar bear habitat, knowing where that habitat is and what's at high risk will help make those decisions.
Climate change is happening at a pace that is unprecedented.
Megan Jones has studied the impact climate change is having on polar bears and whether they can adapt to an evolving climate. In her ongoing study, she discovered that for every degree of climate warming, these polar bears along the western shores of the Hudson Bay are aging biologically by 1 year.
As we are losing ice in the Arctic due to climate change, bears are spending more time swimming, which is 5 times more energetically intensive than walking, so they're using energy a lot faster.
Manitoba's fire map shows one small active fire in Wapusk National Park and 2 other fires in the region, but it's not just the fires that could impact bears, but smoke too.
When polar bears are inhaling these gases, they're inhaling particulate matter, it's going to result in inflammation in their bodies as well.
Jones says the Arctic is expected to warm for at least the next 100 years, but in the meantime, she is doing everything she can to protect polar bears in the north. Alex Carpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A British Columbia woman is one of the first ever Canadians to benefit from a remarkable and unusual surgery to restore vision. It involves transplanting one of the patient's teeth into their damaged eye. As CTV's BC Bureau Chief Andrew Johnson shows us, the results are a sight to behold. And a warning, this story does contain graphic visuals.
It's fantastic. Oh, it's a miracle.
Gail Lane hadn't laid eyes on Vancouver's False Creek or anything else in more than a decade.
The closer part down here is very, very sharp and clear.
Until the highly specialized two-part surgery that has restored her sight.
It's exciting. It's, I just felt full of gratitude.
Lane went blind because of an autoimmune disorder. Now she is one of the first in Canada to benefit from what's called tooth-in-eye surgery, and it's aptly named. Earlier this year, surgeons removed one of Lane's teeth, glued a lens inside of it, then sewed it into her cheek, where it grew connective tissue for several months before surgery number 2.
We make a small hole in the front of the eye, remove the lens, the iris, the anterior contents of the eyeball. Then into that hole, we put the tooth with the telescope and we stitch it into place on the front of the eye.
At first, Lane thought that sounded like something out of science fiction. Now she knows otherwise. Her vision began to gradually improve.
I'm starting to be able to see people's features, facial features.
Including one face she'd never seen before, her partner's.
He still hasn't seen me, and I had never seen him when we met. We were both blind.
And the dog she can now take for a walk.
I could see his tail wagging first, and then his whole body eventually.
The surgeon who has now helped Gail and 2 others to see again is also grateful for the experience.
It's one of the best feelings in medicine that you can have as a surgeon.
Dr. Maloney says he's found 3 more suitable candidates for the tooth-in-eye procedure as part of a pilot project he hopes will eventually receive regular funding.
Wow.
And more Canadians can experience this. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Vancouver.
Still ahead, solving a mystery from the Second World War.
I have very little to go on when I first got these medals.
Why a Canadian man is determined to get these service medals to their rightful home. A touching moment this weekend for NHL hockey player Mackie Samaskovich, who brought the Stanley Cup to the Sandy Hook Elementary School Memorial to honor the victims of the 2012 mass shooting.
I thought we'd just bring it back in honor of them.
The Florida Panthers team member once attended the school. It's a tradition for winning players to get a day to celebrate with the trophy, and it didn't take him long to decide where to spend his special day. A Saskatchewan man is on a mission to return British war medals awarded for service in the Second World War to the veteran's family, if he can find them. CTV's Sarah Plowman on his attempts so far.
It all started with 2 black and white photos and a set of Second World War medals. But who is in this photo, and where is his family now? A mystery John Brady McDonald wants to solve so he can return the medals to the family.
So basically all the information we had was that.
The back of this photo offered clues. RFA Maine, Chatham, July 1930. And a name, George Mann.
George Mann was with the RFA, the Royal Fleet Auxiliary.
The medals also reveal some of this British sailor's story. Stars for serving in the Atlantic and Africa.
Anywhere that the Royal Navy was engaged in conflict, the Royal Fleet Auxiliary was helping to replenish them.
McDonald has been digging through websites and archives. He found this. A marriage certificate he believes is Mann's, married in St. John, New Brunswick in 1948 to Alice Margaret Silver.
Right now what we're trying to find is descendants. When you deal with a surname like Mann, particularly a guy named George Mann, there are many George Manns out there.
The author and historian has reconnected families with medals and other mementos before.
These medals enter the market either by families don't know what to do with them. A lot of times the veterans themselves, due to financial difficulties, had to sell them. And the stories are lost with them.
Coming from a long line of Indigenous war veterans, it's personal.
My grandfather talked to me about his experiences during the Second World War and explain to me what happens when tyranny and fascism take over.
Stories he thinks are key to understand, especially now.
That's why it's important for me to get these medals home, so that these families have their history and that these stories continue to be told.
McDonald has received dozens of tips, but mostly it's information he already has. The marriage certificate suggests a connection to here in New Brunswick, but he questions, how did these medals end up out west? Something he hopes to answer if he can track down a family. Sarah Plowman, CTV News, Fredericton.
Still ahead tonight, how a BC man's life changed by working to keep Vancouver beaches litter-free. We leave you tonight with the story of a Vancouver man making a big difference by turning a simple walk into something more meaningful. As CTV's Adam Sawatsky explains, it's a benefit to others while making his own life a little brighter.
Yvonne Muse is visiting the blue ocean after enduring gray water backing up at home.
I am waiting for the plumber to finish his job.
Now, he could have done anything during the next couple hours, but Yvonne decided to do this.
I noticed that there's some litter and I started picking it up.
While he makes the effort to deal with too many discarded things and places the occasional forgotten ones somewhere more prominent,
maybe the person will come back and pick it up.
Yvonne also wears the pins he suspects have fallen from people's lapels, including this poppy.
Yeah, I found it on the sidewalk and I decided to wear it every day.
To remember.
All year round.
To never forget. Although he doesn't need to be reminded to pick up litter.
Well, it makes me feel better.
As opposed to when he couldn't have felt worse.
Struggling in addiction was a slow downward spiral.
Yvonne had descended beyond rock bottom.
You know, my self-esteem was just deteriorating, with my mind as well, you know.
Before finally finding professional support.
Well, they're like angels. Like, it's really amazing.
Then, one day, Yvonne noticed an empty bag on the ground.
Well, why not I just start filling it with more litter? And so I did that, and you just get into a flow of it.
And there was something about being of service in such a natural setting that proved profoundly positive.
It changed my outlook on life tremendously.
Yvonne says he was inspired to actively show his respect and appreciation for the world by doing this every chance he gets, which has helped him maintain being sober and drug-free ever since.
Celebrating 1 year of that.
Congratulations!
Thank you very much.
And while he may have to call a plumber to fix his pipes, Yvonne has found that the best way to rehabilitate his life is to give back to this place and its people in whatever way he can.
It makes me feel better about being alive.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Vancouver.
That is our newscast for this Monday. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night, and I'll see you again tomorrow.